Hello and welcome to SkyPunk Media with me, Johnny Travers. We have Ryan Clark down and we have Captain Nemo. Colin Nemo for anyone else. He's got a new little nickname from it now. But anyway, welcome to us
You've
podcast.
Almost forgotten.
I know he got to his name and I'm like, what's his actual name? Oh, I remember his Nemo. So
You're like, fuck it, I'll use the nickname.
Colin Nemo, we got him. So welcome to episode 5. We're back to normal episodes now. We're done with specials. We've got a few playthroughs. We've got movie reviews, everything on YouTube. It's all going a bit fast this month for us, to be honest with you. But we've took some time. We're going to have a little chat about some recent news. I believe Ryan has some lined up for us because I've been too busy. So I have no idea what's going on, to be honest. What you got for us, Ryan?
Well, one of the big news, obviously something that we did announce on our social media, was that the long-awaited Harry Potter open world RPG game, Hogwarts Legacy, has unfortunately been delayed until next year. In a statement that was released on Twitter, the studio announced, obviously, that they needed to give the game the time it needed. And certainly from our side, when we heard the news, we understood with everything that has transpired in the past year that these delays seem to be more likely, but it doesn't appear to be an excuse. We understand that certain studios work better with working in a more office-based environment rather than working remotely, and the limitations that can bring. So certainly this was something that, is sad, but certainly the anticipation is there, as it's certainly looking to be one of the more premier Harry Potter games that we've had in recent years. I know we've had the Lego ones. We've had, obviously, the original games. I recall playing the first 2 Harry Potter games on the PlayStation 1. So they were good games as well. Just kind of generally just, it's understandable, but, it makes sense, really. But it's a shame, really.
It's kind of good news, to be honest. I mean, it's a big open world, and I'm not going to bring it up because it's going to get mentioned later on in the episode, but just let it have time. I mean, Halo Infinite got delayed, didn't it, till end of year, and a lot more, like Colin said a minute ago, a lot more are going to be delayed. It happens every year. They line them all up, and then they're just slowly, one by one. It's like dominoes. They all delay. So we're going to have to see that. I mean, I can't remember that game that we mentioned the other day, but it's been on news as well. But PlayStation 5, that one with Astronaut and Gale, when he goes to ends up on Moon or something.
Oh, relevant.
I can't remember.
Oh, shit, yeah.
That's it. That's been delayed till 2033 now instead of 22. I can wait, to be honest. I don't want to get let down again after the December. So, yeah, 23.
2033?
What? 23? What did I say?
You said 2033.
Did I say 2033?
12 years.
Hey,
Yeah.
if it's worth it, right, and we get a decent game, I don't give a shit. just give us a decent working game. But yeah, that's been delayed. It's been a long day, but that's been delayed. There's been numerous, but like I said, I'm not overly excited. I mean, I'm not really much of a Harry Potter fan. I haven't watched all the movies. I don't know, fall asleep during them because they just seem to be the same story repeated. But I'm excited for this open world. I do like all the magic and kind of things like that, so I'm happy there's going to be an open world. And I don't know if it's going to include characters from the films or something. I won't even know if I met one of them, so it don't really matter. But it looks really good, and just take your time on it. So I wasn't shocked. I'm not going to be shocked about anything else that gets delayed as long. Well, we've kind of hinted at it that God of War 2 will be lucky if that comes out this year. I think that's a bit asking a bit too much, but they always do deliver. So
yeah, well, I was surprised they announced it for this year when they released that reveal trailer. But I mean, especially God of War now is like kind of where Hogwarts is. You've not seen much of these games. That I find it hard to believe that they are going to come out this year, and they've got the opportunity to blame COVID on it. But as with everything, hopefully with the delays, it just means that we're going to make the game even better. Like, I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but I've watched some of the movies. But I was really up for this game because you're going to be your own character and get to explore that world, which is probably what a lot of people want to do rather than be Harry Potter. It's more like they just want to be in that universe.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. You just want to be part of the world, don't you? When you watch the films and stuff, you enjoy the films, that you like it because of the, like you said, the universe. You want to be part of that world and stuff. But Yeah, I agree with and I don't think there's many games that are getting shown off. I mean, well, for certain reasons, with other games getting shown off a bit too much and being completely different. I'm kind of glad. I mean, we've still got movies coming out at the beginning of this year, and they still haven't even shown a trailer. I mean, the
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, I think we've got a few screenshots now, but still no trailer. Everyone's playing the cards close to chest because I don't know if they know what's going to happen because of COVID still, or I don't know. It's just everyone's
Yeah.
being quiet, but
I'd rather they just get to the point now when they maybe show like a good 3-4 minute video of like here's what our game looks like, here's what it's at, and then at the end it's like comes out in a month or 2 months time. You know, when they
oh,
know for 100% it's going to come out, because that would just put your excitement through the roof, knowing that it's so soon, rather than all these videos like certain games did that were obviously is going to come up later. But it's like they get your excitement for so long, and then you're kind of left disappointed with every delay because you feel like you've seen so much. It's
yeah.
better that sometimes it is better to kind of not get much and then just get it all when it's really near that finishing line to just really get your excitement through the roof.
Did Fallout 4 do that when they did their announcement?
They
Did it
did
come out?
something like that.
Did it come out
I'm
soon
sure it was like
after?
during the summer they announced. I'm sure it was during the summer they announced it, and then it was like November release. I'm sure
Yeah,
it was
I
like a
remember something.
July.
Because I remember
It
you,
was
Ryan. I
like
think I messaged you when like the website went down or something, and it came up with the classic Fallout loading thing. Everyone went crazy, and then they announced it after a countdown, and then they were like, "It's coming like really soon," and I love that. Like it's same with like if you like take mobile phones when you got Samsung and Apple, it's like, "Oh yeah, here's this new device. By the way, it's out next week." I love that kind of thing. You don't have to wait. You can get excited. You can get pumped. I love it like that. Just keep it quiet until it needs to be out.
Yeah, I'd say. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I was to say, there's a few things. One thing I would say about the Harry Potter game, to a question about if there would be any sort of relevance to the movie. So, from what we understand, the events of the Harry Potter world. Obviously, I don't know too much of the lineage and the events. However, I am aware that obviously from the Harry Potter movies that was set in the late 90s, so or over the cross the span of the 90s. So likely with this, it's going to be set more in the late 1800s. So it's going to be something where we're going to see. It's almost a century before. However, that does mean that that is open to some of the possible, you know, great grandparents of some of these key characters. So certainly that would be something that would be intriguing to see, especially if there's any sort of characters that do have that lineage in mind. So that would be interesting. The other thing I would say as well about this kind of surprise culture, I would say we've seen it in video games for a while. I remember the one of the oldest examples that I can think of was the Sega Saturn when it was E3 in the mid '90s. And when they were announcing the Sega Saturn, they said it's out now. You can go to select retailers now and buy it. But of course, the only reason why it wasn't so popular was because PlayStation made an announcement and undercut it by $100. So people they'd save their money and then wait till Christmas till they bought it. But certainly with that culture of the wait times, like Half-Life Alyx, for example, that was announced in was like late 2019, and then it came out. I think it was only a couple of months after.
Yeah.
So yeah, certainly with that surprise culture and keeping the communication with the fam. I mean, it's one of these things where it's never mandatory, but I think it instills trust when we're seeing certain companies that haven't really instilled trust with us for certain games. So yeah, it's not something that's needed, but it's something that's appreciated.
Yeah. I definitely. I think they should have like a limit on it, like 6 months or something, because I'm sick of hearing about stuff. Oh, it's coming out in like 2 years. It's like, oh, there's my excitement blowing. I've got to wait, and it gets dragged out. I mean, you don't see movies getting trailers out and then waiting a few years, unless it's like that new Mutants film or whatever it's called. I don't watch it, but that got delayed about 6 times or something. But yeah, it's just a lot better all around, I think. And then they've got they don't have to keep it up. I mean, CD Projekt Red, but they had to keep it up, that ball in the air for months and months and months to keep that hype train going. And it was like, it must have been exhausting for their PR team, to be honest. It must have been like, oh, we're delaying it again. We need another episode of Night City behind the scenes. It's like, fuck's sake, making us money. But I do think they should start pulling it back a little bit, because you don't need to announce it. I don't see what it's going to do for the company if they bring out like a little trailer, like a teaser, and say, oh, it's coming out in 3 years. It's like, I don't understand what that's going to do for your company. Is it really going to increase shares and stuff? I don't really think so. I don't understand why they do it.
I know Bethesda did that. Where was it? The new Elder Scrolls, and was it Star Fox? I think is the other one. Like it was one of those E3s or Game Awards, and they just announced it, but you knew it was maybe like Elder Scrolls is going to be at least 5 years from that announcement. You're just like, what's the point? Like, I don't want to know about this. Tell me nearer the time, like, because that's what happened to Cyberpunk. Was that not announced like 2012 or something daft like that? And,
yeah, the first mentioned it then,
about 2013, I think, yeah.
You know, and it took the whole PS4 generation and Xbox generation to like really get closer to the release, and that's way too long. Do you know what I mean? I actually lost my excitement for Cyberpunk because it's been going on that long, and with the delays as well. I was just like, I'll get to it when I get to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's like a reason people buy consoles as well, because you think, oh, so-and-so's coming out, so-and-so's coming out, and it's like, wait a second. Realistically, it's coming out in 5 years. It's coming out halfway through the next generation life cycle. So I don't know if they announce them just so it looks like they've got a massive collection of games for these consoles coming out. Because I can't just say, oh, we've got 2 games coming out this year. That's it. So I kind of guess they might have to fill it a little bit more and say, look, we've also got these in development, but I don't know. It's a bit of a catch-22 with it, innit? Because you want everybody to know that you're working on stuff, but then you don't want to like you're not doing anything. It's a good situation.
Yeah, it's nice to have that hype train. Just like just me. Half-Life 3 is one of the greatest hype trains of all time, and we got Half-Life Alyx, which isn't Half-Life 3, but it's something. And you never know. Like apparently, according to someone at Valve, they said that Half-Life Alyx isn't the end. So, could we get a Half-Life 3? I think if it ever got confirmed, the internet would explode. Personally,
yeah.
But it's sometimes having communities and being able to hype these things through a communal love for a product, I think works better in its favor. But I can also understand that if there are plans, people want to be able to announce those things, having that clarity and saying, yeah, we're working on this. And certainly, but I think I agree with Colin in the sense of once you announce something, your time, you have an ideal time limit where you'll keep someone's attention. And if you extend it beyond that, that's when people are going to start slithering away and not so much, are not hyped. They just don't have it on their radar. And, in terms of that losing interest, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember that game. Oh, cool. It's like the whole Duke Nukem Forever.
Oof.
I was hyped about that back in early noughties. And then when it finally came out after like 10 or 12 years, I didn't want to play. I was just like, I'm not interested in this anymore. How long's it been? So, yeah. That can happen.
The Elder Scrolls trailer, I didn't really mind too much because it was only like a little teaser. It was like an announcement. But if they'd have gone Project Red and like showed like a story trailer or a bit of gameplay, even though it's miles from launch, it'd be like, what is the point? Don't show us that. I understand that you're announcing it, fair play. Just I don't really mind it too much when it's like just a little reveal, like the God of War reveal. That was just like, oh, it's coming. We always knew it was coming. But it's nice that it's coming. I don't know if they should have said this year, unless they're really fucking confident that they can get it out this year. If they can, then fair play to them. But if they can't, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot. And I don't know if there might have been some pressure on from Sony to like say, look, it's coming out next year, but we need to boost these console sales and get everyone going crazy over them. Because you're not going to be able to get over the PlayStation out of the next year still, so it's still going to get a bit up for that. But what else have we got in the news? I think there is some Star Wars news in the air or in the stars.
Yes, so big news coming out. So what we understand is that EA's exclusivity license to do Star Wars game is no longer exclusive, which certainly with the last few games, certain frustrations, certainly some great news all around. So from what we understand, it has been announced that Ubisoft's, one of their subsidiaries, Massive Entertainment, is going to be working on open world Star Wars game, which excites me dearly. So it's only just an announcement at this stage, so obviously there's no real confirmed details, but certainly for me, it's weird because with most open world games, I've been stood there going, it's just, I feel like the trend's kind of teetering off. There's obviously, it's still quite popular with things like GTA and Red Dead, but I just thought the trend was just kind of, I don't know, maybe it was teetering out. But certainly hearing like Star Wars open world game, especially for this generation, I'm stood there going, oh, yes. So from what we understand, EA is still going to be producing games for the Star Wars franchise. There has also been a little bit of a change in there. So apparently, Lucasfilm Games has been re-established as a brand. Mm-hmm. So before they were just kind of doing it under kind of just the whole Star Wars banner. So basically they're coming out, it's basically like a brand to basically, it's their stamp of approval from any Star Wars games moving forward and any sort of Lucasfilms properties. So that's basically the long and short of the EA news. But certainly, I mean, from what we, with the EA license, what has there really been? I mean, like we had Battlefront, which had its expensive editions that just kind of, and certain limitations within there, which, it was just a bit of a shame. Then Battlefront 2 was like, oh yeah, we're not going to give you any DLC, and then put one of the most controversial microtransaction systems in recent memory into its product. The only real gem that I can think off the top of my head was Jedi Fallen Order, which I know that Troy did a review of recently on our website. So, but yeah, I mean, certainly a breath of fresh air. I mean, what do you guys think of the news?
Brilliant.
That's fantastic news. It really is. Do you know what I mean? Over the course that EA's had this, they've gave us 4 games. And like, as you said, they started with Battlefront, and it was, from what I remember, online only, which already turns a lot of players off, that maybe just wanted to lose themselves in a Star Wars story. They then bring it Battlefront 2, and it's like, oh, we're giving you a story, but it's 4 hours long. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you know what I mean? There's nothing to it. Like, but it almost seemed like with Jedi Fallen Order, even though I feel like they botched the announcement, like that game in Squadrons, I felt like that was EA starting to learn from past mistakes, even though they probably had 2 games cancelled that would have been massive, which one was, I think, Ragtag. I think it was a woman that made Uncharted. Her name escapes me right now.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? So there was Anne Henning, I think it is.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I wish I knew the full name off the top of my head, but
like,
we will have long weeks.
but she was making like probably an Uncharted version of Star Wars that was meant to be great. So I think they've just dropped the ball too much during this. That I think the people in charge of Star Wars have just turned around and went, you know what? When they look at places that, I mean, look at Marvel, what they did, and we got Avengers, which was depends what you want to look at, okay. But then you get Spider-Man, with somebody else. So I think it shows that, if Star Wars is kind of split up, there will be misses, but there'll be a lot more hits than what we've been getting, and maybe a lot more games that will kind of cover everyone's taste.
Yeah. That game that you're on about that got cancelled, the Star Wars one, did they have a trailer for it a few years ago?
There was two.
When you're walking around in a town and then a big battle cruiser flies over town.
Yeah.
And then they cancelled it and everybody went apeshit. And then they were like, oh, we're focusing on Battlefront 2 or whatever. And it was like, biggest mistake of your lives. It looked amazing.
It looked amazing. It looked like from the stories that came out, it was really far along. I think they were calling it Project Ragtag or something like that. And like it would have been from all the news that slowly came out, it just sounded like it would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Fallen Order were definitely a step in the right direction, but I feel like the Star Wars games and the movies share some common issues. I mean, they've both got like a proper good foundation, an amazing universe, but the films are a bit wavy and the games are definitely not up to what they should be for such a massive product, which is worth billions out there. But now I think that Ubisoft's got it, or Ubisoft, whichever you want to pronounce it. They've done open world, and I mean, Division 2, I love the Division 2, and I really think they know what to do with Star Wars. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they announce Knights of the Old Republic 3. And I think that'd be... They have to do it perfect, but if they use that name, that's going to get a lot of traction, but you're going to have to live up to that hype. I mean, everybody's wanted a new Knights of the Old Republic since time began. I've barely played them because they're a bit dated and I just can't push myself to do it, but I really want a new one. I want a full-on open-world RPG where I'm my own person and then you build up from that. Unless they're thinking something... Well, let's be realistic. It's Ubisoft and all the main games look exactly the same at the moment. You've got Ghost Recon Division and Assassin's Creed. They all share the same interface and RPG system. Are they just going to put a reskin on that yet again and call it Star Wars? I don't know, but fingers crossed for that. But I'm in high hopes for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will be it'll be interesting to see how they. I mean, to be fair with EA, I think the evidence speaks for itself on where they have fallen. But you could also say it's they wanted to take the games in a certain direction. They certainly tried things, controversial things to a certain extent, but they tried things, they didn't work. And I think, especially with the capabilities that they are, I think it does have the potential that we could see some high quality Star Wars games that we haven't had since, like the early noughties. So certainly fingers crossed, we'll see how that transpires. But yeah. There was also one little bit of news coming out of the whole EA non-exclusivity, and that is that there's also another Disney product that is to be getting, or should I say Lucasfilm's product that is going to be getting a game is Indiana Jones, which so from what we understand, so there's it's going to be developed by a company called Machine Games, and Bethesda's Todd Howard is going to be an executive producer for the game, which would certainly be interesting.
Very interesting.
So yeah, it's going to be published by Bethesda, of course. So I guess with that, there's also the instant question of, is it going to be an Xbox exclusive? I personally think it's difficult because there is another product that has captured the eye of the sort of Indiana Jones-esque fan base for the past 10 years, and that property is Uncharted, Naughty Dog's Uncharted. And I think that for me, I've played all 5 games. I haven't played the PS Vita game though. That's the one exception because I didn't have a Vita. But for me, I loved those games. It was an adventure title. It had that sort of 3D platforming. The gorgeousness of these environments and the way that you traverse through these titles. It certainly captured that eye at a time where we needed something like that, something different, something that kind of that exploration. But yeah, I mean, there's a chance it could be Xbox exclusive. I guess we're just speculating at the moment. But I mean, have you guys at all been fans of Indiana Jones or anything of that nature?
I've watched one film and bits of others. I've never really been fully into it. It was a bit too... I don't know, for its timing, I guess it was amazing, but I don't know, I just couldn't take it seriously. I know it's not a serious film, but I just couldn't get into them, really. But like you said, we've got Uncharted, and I guess that gives us this next generation type of feel, which I thought were brilliant. And then you've also got the Tomb Raider series, which is pretty similar, but on a more serious note. So if Tomb Raider's got that seriousness, and you've got Uncharted, which has got Indiana Jones-ness, it's like, where they're planning to squeeze Indiana Jones in, and how's it gonna play? I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be a tight squeeze for him to get it out, and that's before we even start talking about Game Pass exclusivity and PlayStation and stuff. Because I know Colin thinks it'll be fully exclusive. I believe it will be maybe timed. I do think it will be timed.
Makes sense. Tomb Raider was a timed exclusive. I think it was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I think.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They stole it for a year, didn't they?
That was a year, but then when PlayStation got it, they got it with all the DLC. But the Xbox had it for a year.
I really forgot about that, and it pissed me off. Did that? It's not that if they'd done it without the whole franchise, I've understood. But it was the fact that you just took the second game out of a trilogy and put it on exclusive rights for a year. It's like, I know PlayStation does, well, they both do it, but just for one game out of a franchise, I was a bit like, That's a bit weird. I didn't fully
Yeah,
get it.
especially since Tomb Raider was kind of a PlayStation product. The original was on PlayStation, so it seems like it was almost kind of like a little jab, I would say, at the franchise. Maybe that's just me just speculating, but certainly if you do something like that out of nowhere, it seems like there's probably something a bit more underlying, or maybe they were just trying to get a foothold in some franchises just to see, could the turn be made. We've certainly
Yeah.
seen, with the whole Call of Duty, that was something that was primarily an Xbox recommended product. And now, obviously, in the last, sort of several years, it's now moved over to PlayStation, and we start to see more perks for PlayStation players compared to Xbox players.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I think Indiana Jones, as much as I think it will be Xbox exclusive for I think it's because Xbox needs their version of Uncharted. I think
Ooh.
Indiana Jones is like a kind of safe bet because everyone knows it. I was a fan of especially the original trilogy of the films. Like it's got my attention that and hopefully it's good enough that and when we see gameplay that I do want to jump in. But I just feel like part of me thinks that they won't say if it's exclusive or not, because then it leaves the door open that if it's not selling well on Xbox or something, they could just go, "Oh, it was timed," and a year later, here you go, PlayStation, we'll get some more money.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they really try to like kind of go, "This is our version of Sony's Uncharted. This is our equivalent, and you need to come here for that experience." I think they might
Yeah, that
try
makes
something
sense.
like that.
It's funny that, innit? It's like, because I understand Xbox need exclusives. That's the only thing they're lacking, exclusives really. But the fact that it just if they do take that route and they are getting Indiana Jones, it's like, oh, let's just copy what Sony have done and steal their ideas, but we'll take it from everything. I know people say Uncharted was stolen from Indiana. It pretty much was, but it's different because no one will make an Indiana Jones game apart from Lego. I think that's only people that made one. So, but yeah, fair play. We'll see what happens with it. It'll be on Game Pass. Well, they've said it's gonna be on Game Pass day one, but I think people are getting ahead of themselves. Let's see what the game is like first. I know you can't. You say a title, and it's a movie to game title. Have we had too many? They don't seem to do very well, do they? I don't think it's the same both way around.
I got a perfect example. Rambo. That was fun.
Oh. And Terminator games are shit as well.
You would like to think the fact that they're not basing it on like any of the movies, it's going to be its own standalone story, that they've got a chance. But as you say with Rambo, Terminator, I did platinum Terminator, so I do have my own cheesiness for that. But it's a chance. It's a chance. But the trailer's got enough people, I think, hyped to hopefully look forward to that first reveal of the story, the gameplay, what it looks like, and then I think that's when people really start to judge it.
I can see it in my head. I can see what it's going to look like. No, I can see what Indiana's going to look like in my head. I've just got Uncharted with a whip, basically. and you'll be pulling rocks and stuff to solve puzzles and things like that. And I don't know, swing across like Tomb Raider. It's just going to be ridiculous. But I think with the movie thing, they're just going to revert. They're going to revert to so many quotes and nostalgia things. It's like, oh, let's take that bit from a movie and we'll put it in here just as a filler. It's like, no. Do something original. Take the character and his amazing written characters. It's comic as well, isn't it, really? But just take that amazing character and make an original story. Don't revert to stuff from older games and be like, older films and be like, oh, look at this bit, they'll love that. It's like, no, we don't love that. We don't love it when you go back to stuff like that. Just original, please. It's same with movies from games. It's like, don't do anything the games did. It's cheesy as hell. I mean, look at the first Tomb Raider films. I like them, but they're shit. They're absolute crap. But the new ones, they went original, even though it did kind of it was similar to the new revamp game, but they didn't try and it's totally different story-wise.
Yeah.
Is Ryan still there?
I think. Oh yeah, I'm still here. The final thing I was going to say was that because Colin mentioned this particular title to me recently, and a great example of an original movie license game is the Ghostbusters game that was released for the PS3 and Xbox 360, and that was seen as like the quintessential Ghostbusters 3 movie prior to when the movie was announced a few years ago, where it would contain the original cast. So, and even though I've not played it, I've heard that it is, from what most people consider to be, a kind of true sequel of Ghostbusters 2. So it can be done right. And I agree, original is the best way to go. But
Yeah.
we've certainly seen some things where they don't tend to go that way. But we can only hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
But-
We've had more flops than hits, unfortunately.
Yeah, I heard the same about Ghostbusters. I haven't played Ghostbusters, but I heard it were amazing. And were it just a remake of the first film, or it with some differences? Or
No, it was the Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis actually penned it as if it was the third movie. So it's like it's its own story, but so it's like almost like what would have happened with the Ghostbusters after the second movie kind of thing. And it was wrote that way, and I think it's brilliant because there's lots of there's some returning cast from like the first one, some obviously ghosts from the first and the second one are in it, but it's got its own kind of unique twist. And it was for a game, for a movie, I don't know if it would have worked, but for a game, it was amazingly satisfying, and like especially just because it's like the characters' likeness and their voices in a story that they put the work into, it just really shined.
Yeah, I'm excited for the new movie.
One other thing.
Oh, go on.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say there is another thing as well. So the 1990 Mega Drive game Ghostbusters, which I have reviewed, that is seen as kind of a Ghostbusters 1.5. But again, to go to your point, Colin, it works better as a game because of the mechanics that are involved in there. But they did enough in the game to make it like this was a little side story, the in between 1 and 2, with what the aftermath of the events that happened in number 1. And then obviously still keeping the hype train for when number 2 would be released.
Yeah. I can't remember what I want to say now. The new movie, the new Ghostbusters movie. Have you seen the trailer for it? I'm sure you did. What do you think?
I haven't seen it yet, unfortunately.
Looks great. I think it looks great.
Yeah. I've got some worries, but it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, was it not meant to come out last year but got delayed?
Yeah.
But I don't know when it's due out.
I think it would I think it just said 1 year. I think they just said a 1 year delay, so maybe summer. But I've got my doubts. It could go either way with it. It seems all right, but then I think, is it going to just constantly focus on the kids and just be a little cheese ball fest? I don't know, but
actually, now that you say that, that's probably my only worry, is that they try to set it up too much for the kids to take over and like continue the franchise, rather than just be like, maybe it's the official third one of your now trilogy. Like, why don't you just kind of round it off and give us that ending that maybe we all wanted from back in the day?
What do you think? What do you think to this then? They're just gonna the clips that they show on the trailer, where they show the original film clips as news clips on the TV, like, oh, this is what Ghostbusters did and stuff, and then I reckon I think they'll revert to the olden days and they'll forget about it, concentrate on the new, and then near end, Bill Murray will turn up with his Ghostbusters suit for like 3 minutes of screen time, and then that'll be the end of it, and it'll be like, it were all right, it were a nice little show, but I mean, high hopes. Yeah, it probably would be like, Jesus, I'd rather you just not put him in. You're just doing it to get people in.
Even if the movie was a 10, I'd be like, shit, no, I'm done.
Yeah, you've ruined it. Why have you done that? You didn't need to do it. It was good. But yeah, I can't wait for that. But because we're pressed for time, we have one large matter yet again. I'm sick of fucking hearing about this game. Cyberpunk's popped back up in the media. We had the I can't remember who it was. Like the co-CEO or something, I don't know, who did basically an apology video on it. Well, it was an announcement, but it was an apology video, and he came forth and he said, it sounded like a lot of excuses. I mean, he took responsibility, kind of. He said it were leadership's fault. It wasn't the development team. Don't give any abuse to them or whatever. And it's like, we won't anyway. It were directed at you. Don't you worry about that. But then they kind of apologised, and then it just felt like he went into coming up with like just bullshit excuses, kind of. It was like, it because of this, and then, oh, we couldn't do that because of this, and then, oh yeah, that got in the way, COVID and stuff. But the whole COVID thing, do what everyone else did. You can use it as an excuse. It's plausible. Say, look, we're delaying it a year. COVID slowed us down. But he came forward, and I know with companies it'd be a lot better if they just came through and they're very transparent and just said, look, we fucked up. We're trying as best. But no, they just keep spouting excuses and stuff. And it will have been probably a PR stunt. There's no way they released that video without going through it with a fine-tooth comb and wording and things used. But I think it's funny that that video came out a week after it got announced that they were getting investigated by some internal affairs thing. Basically saying if you don't make your game playable with patches, then we're going to fine you 10% of your annual income or something like that. So they released this video about a week later, like, look, we've got patches. There's 2 big patches coming, and then we've got a next gen update coming towards the end of 21. Like, everyone's finished the game nearly, unless you're waiting like me to play it in a decent state. But with these updates, and you play, don't just wait. But with these next gen updates, I understand it when a game comes out before a next gen console, and then they get an update. But when it comes out, when the next gen console's already out, it should already be there. I mean, we'd already had patches from Ghost of Tsushima and everything to make it play better. It's like, why couldn't you just do it for that? And it's not like they haven't even made an version. You know when we said that they made 9 platform versions? They didn't, did they? Because they haven't got an Xbox Series S version, they haven't got an X version, and they don't have a PlayStation 5 version because they're just the standard old gens but boosted with their performance. So I just felt like it was a bit of a I don't know. I don't think they need to do it. I think it would just to cover their own backs with some legal stuff because I know it's going pretty far ahead. And then they did like a Q&A after on website. I don't know if you looked at it, but it wasn't a Q&A where people are there typing. They've just basically they've pinpointed a few certain questions from like, I don't know where, and then put some answers underneath it, so they can just like cover the backs even more like. And then there's been an article yesterday, let me just get the guy's name up, from the Project Red studio head, Adam Badowski or something. He responded to a Bloomberg report that got released the other day, which basically admits even more that the game wasn't ready, and there's like 20 developers that have also put in their word against it and stuff about features. But he's come forward and spoke about it, but I don't think he took legal advice at all because it just sounds like he's on a massive rant if you read the articles. He's there shooting everything down. He's like, oh, you've got these 20 statements from 20 staff or whatever, but only one of them's like gone public, the rest of them anonymous. And it's like, well, yeah, you don't want to bitch about your company and not be anonymous, do you, end of the day? And then he's there saying like, oh, the features, they didn't really get cut and stuff like this. We made some twists and turns, and then there were some calls that the demo that they showed the other year was fake. And he kind of hints that it is kind of fake. He's like, oh, well, it doesn't represent the final product. There's going to be changes, but even though changes are normally better. The demo looked amazing. The game's shit. But he just kind of beat around the bush a little bit, but he were quite aggressive in his interview, to be honest. I think it were IGN, they posted about it. I don't know if it were actually them he spoke to, but he were really aggressive, shooting it down, saying it were all lies and stuff. And I don't know, a bit of desperation, a bit of frustration coming out from the lead departments, I think. I don't know if you two saw the video and stuff.
I saw the video, but I've got a rather long thing I want to, not a rant, but more of a long piece. So it's not so much a rant, it's just more just getting things off my chest with it. But I'll let Colin kindly answer before I go off.
No, I seen the video, and probably, as you said, Johnny, a lot of it is for the kind of legal side of things that is going to be ongoing for them for a while. But with a wee bit for the kind of fans to say, look, this is how long it's going to take us to fix it, and the fact that because they probably thought the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions were going to be maybe closer, maybe like April or something, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see them till November, December. The fact that it says, there'll be free DLC, I think that's the minimum you can do for what you charge for a broken game. But I found it funny when I was looking into it that a lot of people said the best experiences with this game was on Stadia.
Yeah,
because it was a stream. And I find that hysterical with how bad Stadia's been to this point, but it just kind of shows how much work they've still got to do. And I'm grateful that I've kind of not played the game and just sampled what I've seen online and laughed that way rather than feel it myself. And that hopefully when the PS5 version, true version comes out, I'll definitely pick it up and hopefully it'll be the more complete experience that we know that they can deliver.
What's more amusing is on the GOG store, their own store that they created. I think at the moment Cyberpunk's on sale for almost 50% off, which is, I mean, it's a month after release. I mean, you've got stuff like Red Dead Redemption 2 that you can't buy brand new for less than like 35 quid if you're lucky, and that's been out a few years. I mean, it's held its value, so normally when games drop that quick. But another quick thing about the video,
still off PS as well.
You what? Oh yeah, it's still off, isn't it? It's not back on. It's still off. No. I don't blame them. But another thing they missed out, well, kind of altered. It did kind of babble on saying, "Oh, we've got good reviews about the PC version and stuff." It's like, whoa! The PC version is better. It's not anything great, and multiple people have bad experiences. But another big thing is they don't mention features. They go on about fixing bugs and glitches. It's like, wait. Where's all these features that you promised us, and where's the basic features a normal game should have, from AI to all sorts, like traffic mapping and everything? It's like, just being around the bush, the bugs, it's like they're trying to use the bugs to cover everything up. It's like, look, they are an issue, but there's a lot more that's a problem here. And it'd be nice if you just said, oh, we're going to fix the bugs and stuff, and then we're going to work on implementing features we said we were going to do, like do a No Man's Sky on it, just bring it back, but tell us that you're doing something. You need to announce that. Don't come with apologies, just say, we messed up, we're doing this, and then we're going to do features and DLC. I'm guessing the DLC were already done to a certain extent, otherwise they won't release it, but we'll see how that goes. But I think it's time to hand over to Ryan. I'm going to put my feet up.
So this is more of just also with my internet. I'm sorry if I cut out. Let me know if I need to repeat anything. Just because we all know the territory. So, so I mean, where do we begin? I always say that. So you know, I saw the apology, and for me, if it were any other time, I would say it makes sense. You know, because it's something where you're just doing an aftercare. If there's any sort of issues, you would publicly come out in there. But however, I think just with all the news of, possible lawsuits, confrontation internally in the company, it just seems like a forced reaction. And I think with it, they could have still at any time said, we don't want to say anything. We'll just concentrate on fixing it. So this, as I see, is like an endeavored gesture. However, I mean, I can see it from the perspective of there are people behind the studio. They're everyday workers like us. When I say like us, we don't work in video games, but from people who want to embrace and create games. They're from the same culture. They're all impassioned people from this industry who want to create a product. However, that does, it's all about setting timelines, and I would question it. For me, I would see this as kind of a blend between Anthem and Fallout 86. 76. Can't even get that right. So with Anthem, it's the case of, because we heard it was in production for a very long time, like since 2012, and they only worked on the game for 16 months. And then with Fallout 76, we've got this kind of base product where we're just kind of like, the features weren't promised there. So I see it as kind of like a culmination between two of the most controversial kind of games in recent memory. Luckily, Battlefront 2 isn't in the mix, which surprises me, but still. But I think, like I say, I think there is an element of sincerity from there, because in all essence, you don't want to release something that's poor. Why, an artist, why would they release their canvas where it's half done? You could probably get away with it that way and call it abstract and make it more valuable, but maybe that's not the best analogy. I just think that it's like I said on a couple of podcasts ago, first impressions count. And like I said, I've completed the game, and I mean, for me, I played on a PlayStation 5, and I enjoyed the experience. I felt it was lacking in places, and I think this mantra of the next generation of open world games was a bit of a stretch. But if you have confidence in something, then sure. But again, it's like you say with the features, Johnny. It just feels very scarce. I can go into it as an open world FPS experience, but that's pretty much the extent of it. Although I have heard that there are some little intricacies. For example, Alana Pierce apparently is in the game on a special mission. I didn't know that until people started saying about these things, and there's a number of little intricacies which they've added into the game. However, it's one of these things where I would have thought you would have at least had. It sounds like you would have had at least like an edgeway. There's a special gun as well, which I've forgotten the name of it, that you can use, and it does like kind of directed shots kind of thing, like targeting, and it has its own personality. It's like a little bullet that comes up as a little hologram, and he's really comedic. So I think there's elements of passion in there, and there are some things that does make it unique. But the base experience for it should have been something that was covered across the board. And no matter what you say to convince me that, oh yeah, we went through this. They said we went through the testing and we didn't pick up this for the last gen consoles. Are you serious? Then I would fire everyone in your testing team if they managed to get that product out in the state that it was in. From what we've seen from the videos, it is a disgrace. I loaded it up on my PS4 just very briefly just to see the 1.0 version, but because I just ended up in this kind of melancholy state, because I looked at the game and I was like, no, I'm not even going to attempt it. Just the evidence speaks for itself. I'm not going to put myself through that because I've got a base PS4. No, thank you. And yeah, I can see that they're just trying to do this as damage control, and I appreciate they've given us a roadmap. Now, the question I would ask is that roadmap going to be legitimate? Are we going to see delays with that? Because if they've had to delay things due to, trying to make sure the product is ready and supposedly COVID as well, which I think that is legitimate to an extent. Again, logistical reasons, moving from office space to remote makes sense. But obviously I can't speak from that because I don't work in that particular area. But are they going to stick to this timeline? Where are we going to see? I think like every person's eyes is on what are they going to do, and can we trust it? The trust has been broken, and it's going to take a while for them to build that back. I don't think the game's going to be polished for at least a year and a half. I think they say a year. I think it's going to be 18 months before they get this up to scratch, and even then, from the the number of bugs that we've seen, sure, things can get submitted and from people, but why should we be the beta testers? We've been through this before. It's not so much that if they did like some sort of early access and did it like that, I would understand, but this isn't. This is a full price product that was promoted as such, and when you buy a product of that, you expect it to be at least workable, and it isn't. People say on the PC version it works, but the problem is you have to have it at a very specific setup, or not specific, but at least at a high degree, in order for it to work effectively, from what I understand, and avoid most of the issues that you've had there. People say that the PS5 and Xbox consoles, the versions were not that great. I thought that they were manageable, but I don't really have standards. For me, it's just decent frame rate and make sure there isn't any bugs. And I didn't really, I experienced about a dozen things, but nothing to break my experience. But I obviously can't speak for last gen PS4, because the moment that I did, I was like, no. And can you blame me after everything that's happened? So yeah, I think to round this, it's not so much a rant, but more of an airing out.
There's been a few. Been a few.
Yeah.
It won't be the last.
Oh no, they'll fuck up again.
It just feels like an ex that you want to get rid of, and they keep popping up your media feed, and you're just kind of like, For me, I want CD Projekt Red to do well, because they do seem at heart, they seem impassioned, they seem determined, they've got highly skilled people, and it's a shame because these people are being detrimented as a shadow of, well, you worked on Cyberpunk 2077. Ooh. And it's a shame because you don't want that kind of credit against you. But it's like we said before in a previous podcast, we don't blame anybody in the production process. Because obviously it seems that this has been pushed out way too early, and it needed that extra 6 months to kind of, even 3 months maybe to get it over the finish line and in a workable state. But I do question the product and solely the product. And this apology is a good step, but I'll believe it when I see it. Once we start hitting those meters of the next few patches and then leading on to the DLC, that way I would probably be more inclined to go back. But at the moment, it's done. Next game for the moment.
Yeah. I'm not in high hopes. Like you said, they've lost the trust, and it's like it's not up to me to fix that. It's up to them. So I'm just gonna sit back. Like I said, I keep forgetting about the game existing. To be honest, I don't care at the moment. I've got other games that I'm on with. So it'd be nice if I ever get back to it. Hopefully in 2022. It'd be nice if I could go back and everyone's like, "Look, it's shit hot now." I'd be like, "Thank God." But I'm not impatient now. It's like. It is what it is.
It's just depressing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It just grinds you down. But like I said, a line of pieces in it. But there's loads. They've put numerous streamers and YouTubers in that game, which kind of helped with the marketing, and obviously Keanu Reeves. But they've all been paid out as well for it. And it's just like, gee, it's like I don't know what. I don't know. I just want to even that a bit last thing on my mind. If I saw that game with what it was back then before it even released, I'd have been like, look, I think we've got more issues than getting public figures in to play be in the games and stuff. We need to sort the games. But yeah, it's just a waiting game. We'll see what happens with it. But it's just interesting to see everything they're saying. Now there's that rant interview that guy's had with... Oh, they just need to shut up. The lawyers must just be like, look, everyone just shut your mouths and just work on the bloody thing. Stop saying things.
NDAs now. Like, I think they'd be under some sort of NDA, but again, you can't stop anonymity in that extent. And yeah, it's a shame because it's like I said before, it's looked like Blade Runner in a game, and we've wanted this kind of experience for a while, and the first one to fully embrace it gave us quite a few roadblocks, and it's a shame because I think with the way that I don't think it helped that The Witcher 3, is considered one of the highest rated Game of the Year awarded games, although I've heard that is possibly going to be overtaken by The Last of Us Part 2, most likely at some point this year, because it is very close, so we'll see what happens. But not to say, it's still a good game in its past. We've discussed about it in various points in our previous episodes. So, but yeah, we'll see. That's all I'll say.
It's just gonna be interesting. I'm sure next week's episode will have some more information from CD Projekt Red. They seem to just pop up all the time, and it's a bit annoying because it's starting to overshadow a lot of gaming news, and it's getting quite hard to find that news because it's just getting covered. It's like snow; it don't go away, and it just builds up. It's just
they should do a wee no Man's Sky and just go silent now and let their roadmap speak and get the work out there to align with it, because we've seen like Anthem. They could even follow the roadmap that they put out. So
nobody can.
Just because Cyberpunk gave us one doesn't mean anything, as Ryan said. So it's like, right, go away. You've said your piece. Your pure lawyers are there and all that. Just shut up and hit your targets on your roadmap and convince us and start building that trust. That like, oh look, they're hitting all these points. Yes, it's gradually getting better. and then hopefully a year. I think definitely a year for the bugs, and then hopefully that extra, as you said, Ryan, a year and a half, like that 6 months after it's fixed, and is when they'll start giving us that content that was promised.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a roadmap followed on schedule by any game
Delays
at all.
happen.
They just happen with everything, but it's just, we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, it's a shitty industry, and it's amazing at the same time. But yeah,
I've got one piece of. If you're looking for a little bit of positive news to end the episode, I've got a small tinkling of news.
Is it quick? Is it a quick one?
It is very quick. Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Well, this isn't confirmed, but obviously there have been rumors of, rumors and strong reports of obviously a Mass Effect remastered trilogy. Obviously, we've seen that this has come to light, and recently there have been. Obviously, this is speculation to take it with a pinch of salt, but we've seen two retailers, one based in Singapore and one in Indonesia, that have reported that the this Mass Effect remastered trilogy is set to be released with an estimated date of March 12th, 2021. Now, like I say, this is purely speculation. This isn't something, because we've sometimes seen dates come up, and some to be true and some to be not. But certainly with a date like that, it certainly suggests that the game is pretty much in a final stage of completion, potentially. Obviously, I'm sure that we would probably get some sort of statement if there was enough to say, nah, this isn't the case. But from what we understand so far, as of recording this podcast episode, that isn't the case so far. So, yeah, I mean, I've mingled in Mass Effect 2, a little bit of Mass Effect 3, but never completed them. But certainly with this trilogy and in the remastered way, I would certainly see it being appealing. So we'll see how that goes.
We ended a bit of a bright note there then, because I'm excited for those games. But unfortunately, we are out of time for this episode. But I'm sure we will get more updates on Mass Effect, because I've hardly played them and I do want to play a remaster remake kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes, but we will keep you up to date with that as and when we get the news anyway. But from all of us at SkyPunk Media, me, Johnny, Ryan and Colin, that's it for us. But if you like this video, please like and subscribe, follow us media accounts if you want to stay up to date with everything that we've got, and we will see you on the next SkyPunk Podcast.